Right, today we're going to be looking at official PlayStation magazine number 31 from April 1998. Now I bought these brand new when they came out in, I think I first started buying them when I got my PlayStation, like 96, 97. And this is from 98, and this was when I was buying them more frequently, and I just got these out of storage, and I thought it'd be nice to go back over them, because I haven't really read them since I put them into storage a long time ago, and I thought may as well archive it while they're in this good condition. And I was wondering whether to sell them on eBay, but I think they're so collectible now. I just regret that I've got the demo discs somewhere, but I think they're in poor condition. They were just separated from the magazine, because these came in bags originally, and I didn't keep the bags. You don't think about these things when you buy them brand new. But I thought I've always been a fan of Resident Evil. I was at high school when the first Resident Evil came out, and I played that on the PlayStation. I remember Resident Evil 2 coming out, and it was such a good time back then, and these games still stand up today, as I'm sure you'll be aware. But let's get into it and have a look. I mean, I flicked through them when I got them out of storage recently, but I haven't really looked in detail, so I thought I'd go through them with you now. I'm trying my best to position the camera in the magazine so you can get a good view, but I'm fighting the sunlight here. It keeps moving. So this is the excuse me, when PlayStation 1 came out here in the UK. After a while, all the big hits came out on the Platinum Collection. You can't really see it here, but I didn't really like the Platinum Collection because I didn't like the box art, because it was a silver like finish. It didn't blend in with the other games, but on here you got a Crash Bandicoot. I didn't really get into that. I played it on the demo, and I haven't really played the remake, so I just didn't gel with Crash Bandicoot. I think it was just a rage quit game for me. I think Porsche Challenge, I loved Porsche Challenge. It's a good game. I think when the DualShock version came out, you could control the throttle of the cars with the analog sticks. But I had the one of the early versions of the PlayStation in the UK, which was just the digital version before the DualShock version came out, the analog version. You got Tekken here. I've played Tekken, but I've never been a big fan of it. And we've got a Tomb Raider. I love Tomb Raider. I've always been a big fan of Lara Croft, even like the films. And we've got Wipeout. Yeah, Wipeout still stands up now. I really like the ports that they did to the Vita. This is Wipeout 2097, I think so. I don't know whether this is a worldwide sort of promotional thing, but I think this is like a very British sort of advert for the Platinum Collection. And Micro Machines. I didn't play Micro Machines on the PlayStation, but I played it on the SNES and the Mega Drive. And it's got the other titles here. Adidas Power, Soccer, Die Hard Trilogy, Pandemonium, Destruction Derby 2, Ridge Racer Revolution, ISS Pro, that's International Soccer, I think. Sorry about that. Soviet Strike and Soul Blade, and these retailed back in '98 for $19.99 each, £20, which was I suppose it's the equivalent now of what the PlayStation Hits is. It's just a reduced. Well, I suppose this is the eyesore of the current PlayStation 4 version, which has the great big red banner on it. Master the Bushido Code or perish. Never played Bushido Blade. I was a big fan of Tenchu when it came out on the PlayStation. Yeah, and this is what's on the that month's demo disc, which was, of course, was Resident Evil. Gex 3D. I didn't really get into that. Rascal, boasting undeniably gorgeous visuals and a hip lead character designed by the gifted folk at Jim Henson's Creature Workshop. Rascal is yet another pretender to the Bandicoot throne. Dynasty Warriors, I mean, everyone knows what Dynasty Warriors is. Didn't play it back then, but I've played it more recently on the more recent consoles. Terra Incognita. What's this? It says, is it a platform or is it a role-playing game? Why, this unnervingly excellent Eurosy demo is both. Who said bedroom coding was dead? So this is trying to promote the Net Eurosy PlayStation console, the black one, which cost, I think it was like something like £600-700 back then when I looked into it. And this is the editor of official PlayStation magazine. Only the film Titanic has grossed more money than cover game Resident Evil 2 in the American entertainment market this year. Capcom's Fright Fest is already the fastest selling game ever in Japan, and will no doubt perform equally well in Europe. It's proof, if any was needed, that video games are as much as part of the mainstream as movies and pop music. Indeed, an unprecedented 300,000 of you bought PlayStation magazine last month, an almost fantastical figure. Unfortunately, games are still treated with suspicion and no little disdain by the national press, particularly when the subject of violence rears its ugly head. This is at a time when Grand Theft Auto was still relatively new on the scene, and all parents were convinced back then that Grand Theft Auto would turn your child into a psychopath killing machine. And the 300,000 300,000 people buying PlayStation magazine would be a publisher's dream come true now. I mean, because everyone consumes their content digitally. I mean, magazines and newspapers now are fading out. So, yeah, this is a bygone era now of those sort of sales of magazines. I mean, I'm sure PlayStation magazine will go for a long time still, but all the independent ones have died off now. And we've got the contents page. Come Alive, April 3rd, Need for Speed 3, Hot Pursuit. Didn't play the Need for Speed games on the PlayStation 1. I think the earliest time I played it didn't really get into it till the PlayStation 3. And as you went through the magazine, it would give you the loading sort of bar up here, showing you as you went through the magazine the progress of what you were making as you were going along. This is the update on the new PlayStation device. Please welcome the personal digital assistant. In a surprise announcement, Sony has revealed that it's working on a new and unique peripheral for the PlayStation, the personal digital assistant. Although only initial specifications have been released for the device, Sony is hoping to have the add-on ready for a Japanese release before Christmas for the price of around £40. A European release is planned for early 1999. Yeah, I don't think that took off here in the UK. I don't remember ever seeing it. I mean, obviously we didn't have the internet back then, but I was always, in the video game shops and stuff, and I don't remember seeing this. I've never seen one in person. I think it was more of a Japanese market with the Tamagotchis and stuff. I don't know whether you... the PDA will be similar in shape to a memory card, although slightly bigger, and it will have its own battery and small LCD screen. This means it can be used remotely when you are away from your PlayStation, and it will make it ideal for a Tamagotchi style games that may be in development for the PlayStation, or more likely a personal organizer. Can you imagine? It's funny how times have changed now. I mean, people don't even have personal organisers now. Everything's on your phone, different apps and so, but I mean, it's got could traditional PDAs like the one shown above be replaced by Sony's PDA? It's got the specs here of it. 2 kilobytes of SRAM, 128 kilobytes. 2K of SRAM, 128 kilobytes of flash RAM, 32 by 32 dot monochrome LCD. Can't even pronounce that. 5 input buttons and 1 reset button. A programmable 32-bit RISC processor. Yeah, I don't think that took off here, and I think it would have been a very niche market. Well, I suppose anyone was into Tamagotchis and stuff would have been into it. These pages are stick together because the way it was in storage, it was not the best storage conditions, so it was a bit damp and musty, but they survived quite well. I sealed them up in I taped like bin liners around them and made sure they was air and watertight as possible in case anything happened to them, so they did well. Yeah, here we've got banned. Brazil prohibits Grand Theft Auto. This is what I was talking about a minute ago. The debate on Grand Theft Auto continues with the latest news that not only is the game being completely banned in Brazil, but that further investigation is to continue as to the game's suitability. The Conservative Lord Campbell of Troy has tabled a motion to the House of Lords to both ban GTA and tighten up the way such games as this are classified. I mean, as it is today, a lot of parents let their kids play what they want, and most shops don't even ID kids now, and kids can buy pretty much whatever they want. So this is sort of irrelevant now. I mean, age ratings have changed such a lot now. What was considered shocking then is pretty much normal today. Cool Borders 2 adverts withdrawn. After a number of formal complaints to the Advertising Standards Authority, Sony has decided to drop its advertising campaign for Cool Borders 2. The accusation from parents was that the tone of the advertisement used drug culture slang to promote a game that was basically aimed at children. Again, things have changed so much now. I mean, we're bat an eyelid to this now. Promoting PlayStation clothing. That's just a regular thing though. That's a third-party company advertising Analog Path. Vote for your favourite PlayStation game. This is building up hype for the World Cup in France in '98. Just a column there about United States output. Theme Hospital, I mean, everyone loves this. I didn't play it back then, but I think I played the demo and I enjoyed it. I think I played it on PC not long after. But I mean, my wife loves Theme Hospital because there's a condition in it called bloaty heads. People go around with bloated heads, and the doctor or the nurse pops their head. Japan column. Premier Manager 98. I mean, I would have just glazed over looking at this because I've never really been a football fan. I guess this is a spin-off of PlayStation magazine called Essential PlayStation. That's interesting because Game were in the UK. Game are still around now, and they're not really highly regarded. But before they were Game, they were Electronics Boutique, which I think still exists in Canada under EB Games. But before, this shows how old I am. It was Game. Before that, it was Electronics Boutique, and then before that, it was called Future Zone. And I remember I used to buy my Spectrum tapes and Philips CDI stuff out of there, I think. And this is the top 20 in 1998. Here are the top 20 selling PlayStation games this month, courtesy of Game. I'm surprised Game's still around now because they bought out a company here in the UK called Game Station, and then they did new games as well as they did well on used games, and they were really good prices. But then Game bought the chain and then closed all the closed all the stores and put their game branding on it, and now they're just a rip-off everywhere. But a lot of the game stores are closed down, and they have concessions in like sports shops and things now. But back then, number 1 was Cool Borders 2. I love that franchise. I wish that would come back. FIFA, no. Tomb Raider 2, number 3. I got into the first 2 Tomb Raider games, but I didn't really play 3. I'm going to put the light on because I'm losing sunlight. And then on my screen that looks like it's interfering with the lights, interfering with the camera. I'll see how it goes. Number 4 is Crash Bandicoot, and as I record this, I think Crash Bandicoot 4 has just been ported to the Switch, so I won't be playing that. Number 5 was Grand Theft Auto. I loved that. The first Grand Theft Auto, I absolutely loved the soundtrack on that. I wish they released an album with that soundtrack. So I ended up recording onto cassette tape and then playing it in my car. Porsche Challenge, yeah, it's a good game. Nagano Winter Olympics, never heard of that. Destruction Derby, and I didn't get the hype for that at the time. I played the demos, but I just didn't really get into it. Toka Tour Carring Championship, so it's like a racing simulator. Tekken 2, Nuclear Strike. I'm not sure if that's a spin-off of like the Mega Drive, because there's like Desert Strike and Jungle Strike. I think it was Urban Strike. I don't think Nuclear Strike. I don't know what that is. Micro Machines V3, Time Crisis. Didn't get in because back then the sort of peripherals were expensive and like the guns and stuff. So I didn't play Time Crisis on home console, but I played it a lot in the arcades. Rayman, yeah, Rayman still stands up today. It's a good game. Rayman Legends is an excellent game. Worms, never really been a fan of Worms. The Lost World, that's Jurassic Park, I'm guessing. Crash Bandicoot 2, so he's on a roll here because Crash Bandicoot 1, Crash Bandicoot 2, Croc, yeah, Croc was a good franchise. Final Fantasy 7. I liked, back then, I really didn't get the fascination with like turn-based games, and Final Fantasy wasn't really, it was like a new sort of, in the UK it was like a new franchise, I suppose. Well, for me it was anyway. But I remember I was amazed at how many discs it came with. Like, it was this one kid at school who was bringing in, like, because his mummy bought him everything, so he'd bring like all his big games in that cost like £40-50 back then, and you know, I was like fascinated by how many discs there was, but I didn't really, it was such a long game for a 16-year-old or whatever, 14, 15, 16-year-old back then. And Adidas Power Soccer, Great Expectations, Tekken. And this is what was hot of that month for sale, games for sale. So obviously it was Resident Evil 2, Theme Hospital, Street Fighter, Die Hard Trilogy. I love Die Hard Trilogy. The comment, like the the character, he'd be saying all John McClane's lines in that game. You want to stay alive, stay me. And what keep me in to get that now and replay it, because it was such a fun game, because it was like 3 games in one on the Die Hard trilogy. So one was a driving game, one was a shooting game, and one was like a platformer. Lucky Luke, I've never really heard of that. It's just some of the journalists spouting their usual gump. Death Trap Dungeon. This was your usual editors going on about what they liked. 3 Lions, I remember I played the 3 Lions demo disc, but again I'm not really a fan of football games. Forsaken, never played that. Obviously back then you didn't have like the internet to look at reviews and stuff. You just obviously have the reviews in the magazines, but you didn't really get to see any gameplay, and that's not really selling it. Dead Ball Zone, is that? It was a really good game on the Mega Drive. It sounded like Dead Ball, I can't remember what it's called, but it was an amazing game. Carmageddon. Wow, going back and looking at these graphics, it's enough to give you a headache. Some of them were good, but others didn't hold up with the 3D polygon sort of phase gaming. Klonoa. I think Klonoa is a really sought after game now, and I think it's really expensive. But no, I didn't play Klonoa in the day. Synocracy. That's a pass from me. Don't know what that is. Let me know if you know, if you played that. Cooler World. Yeah, I love these sort of games. So I played the demo of this. Guess it's like a bit like Super Monkey Ball or Sid Meier's Marble Games. Checkered History, never heard of it. It's amazing how many, I suppose it's the same now, but how many games just come and go like no one plays them. I mean, Snow Racer 98, never heard of it. Bloody Raw. Mud, Sweat and Gears. Tommy Mackinnon. I love the Colin McRae rally games, but I didn't play Tommy Mackinnon. Yeah, I love Colin McRae Rally. I played that game to death. NBA Fast Track. I mean, here in the UK, NBA isn't as big as it is in America. I think I played NBA Jam on the SNES, Super Nintendo. Warhammer Dark Omen. Nope. Diablo. Never really got into that. I think I've played briefly on console, like the Diablo 3, is it now? Need for Speed 3. It's amazing how things have changed, like looking at this. Gex 3D, Enter the Gecko. I played one of the Gex games, but it wasn't this one. It was... I can't remember. It's a long time ago. And that's how you tear your magazine. Motorhead. Race of Spades. Well, some of these journalists really struggled for headlines on their stories. Gran Turismo. I really struggled to get into this because it was just too realistic for me back then, I think. I recently went back to like my PlayStation games and I bought Gran Turismo 5, and that stands up today really well still on the PlayStation 3. I played the demos of this on the demo discs, but I didn't. It was too realistic, I think, for me back then. But I think Gran Turismo 2 is highly regarded. I'm not sure about Gran Turismo 1. I got the PlayStation 5, and I heard recently on the internet that the new Gran Turismo has been delayed to next year. They never released Gran Turismo on time ever. Pro Pinball. England 3 Lions. VMX Racing. I think even today they struggle to get motorbike games right. I mean, the physics and the realism of them. Yeah, Premier Manager 98. I mean, if you're into the financials of a football game, then that's for you. Never understood that. Point Blank. Don't recall that one. Chill. Some of these I was really like into games back then, but some of these I've never heard of them. Not even seen them like in shops today, like second hand like versions of it. One. Never heard of One. Lucky Luke. Nope. Oxy. This is a spot cream for kids back then. Not sure you can get that today. This is the letters section. I mean, you wouldn't get this now, but let's have a look, see what people say. Prophet of Tomb. PlayStation games are as expensive as it is, but when you try to exchange them or sell them second-hand, the prices that high street stores offer are hilarious. Electronic Boutique. This must have been during the transition phase when Electronics Boutique was going over to Game, or Electronics Boutique and Game were two separate companies back then. Electronic Boutique, for instance, offered me £13 for Tomb Raider. If you take a look at the price of the second-hand game on their shelves, you would see that they priced it at £34. The best offer I received for this game was £15. Is this a rip-off or what? No, this is a business, my friend. This is how companies make profit. I mean, they're not going to offer you the shelf price and not make a profit on it. They're going to buy low and sell high. That's how business works. Same today. I've had my PlayStation for almost a year and have had no problems up until now, but recently it started to scratch my CDs whenever they were being used. The reason for this was that a small piece of wire, like wire wool, only finer, was sticking up from behind the black lens block and rubbing it against the CD. Now that I've got rid of the wire, no more discs are being scratched. What a weird condition. I've never come up against that. I think they just... I have owned a PlayStation for some time, and this little grey phenomenon has hooked a number of my friends. Some own the same games, such as Wipeout 2097 and Final Doom, and so the only way to go is to get a link cable and really compete against each other. However, I find that very few games are actually link cable compatible. I have heard people complain that it's a bind to obtain 2 copies of the same game and then connect by means of 2 of everything, but judging by the number of PlayStations being sold, they are soon to become a household item on par with the television. It just makes me feel really old. Like, this is before any online sort of functionality. I mean, online didn't really come into PlayStation 2, and even then it was hardly anyone took it up, sort of thing. Yeah, I didn't do that. I was a lone gamer. Having been a PlayStation owner for nearly 2 years, I've seen the price of the console halve since I parted with my hard-earned cash. It was worth what I paid for it, but my question is this: is there any chance of a price drop on the Eurosi, seeing as the PlayStation itself has managed to drop from 300 to 129? How about dropping the cost of the Eurosi to 250 or even 199? Such a price drop would, in my opinion, be a step towards the days when we all used to sit at home coding games and demos for our Spectrum, Commodore 64, Amiga home computers. Surely a cheaper home development system would help strengthen the already phenomenally sized user base of PlayStations. I'm sure that there is a lot of raw talent out there with the valid contributions to make to the future of PlayStation gaming, but most of them cannot justify or afford $580 for a year. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. The price of that was shocking, but obviously it was pretty much a development kit for PlayStation. But yeah, I mean, they weren't helping themselves at that price, but obviously inflation since then, this would be ridiculously priced, because obviously a PlayStation 5 now, with going rate in this country at the moment with the lack of actual PlayStation 5s is £600-700. I mean, I was lucky to get mine at the retail price of £450. But yeah, it's amazing how things never change, really. Oh, is this the artist impressions of the PlayStation 2? A letter about the future. You're at the 1999 E3 show, and it's rumoured that PlayStation 2 is to make its first appearance in public. The PC, Sega and Nintendo stands are very empty. What are they going on? I'm not sure at this point if it was confirmed or not, or was just speculation. It's funny seeing this artist impression and it just comes out and it's just a black block. When the PlayStation 2 came out, I just started working at Sony, and I remember the demand for the PlayStation 2 was just as much as it is for the PlayStation 5 now. I mean, at the Sony shops where I work, they were delivered by security guards. This is the Q&A section. Asking the journalists at PlayStation Magazine, basically they don't have a clue anymore than the people writing in. Video game violence, again, this is going back to the issue of video game violence and turn children into violent, angry children, where it's no different to today with Fortnite, the addiction to Fortnite and things like that. It's just every generation has this sort of issue, I think. I mean, it's up to the parents, isn't it? I'm a parent of 2, and I'll let them play these games when they're age appropriate. I'm not gonna let them play whatever they want. I mean, some of these children play violent games now. Not saying they turn out to be violent, but I don't think it helps children that are growing up. It doesn't help their social skills. There's a spin-off of Road Rash, I think. Road Rash 3D. I loved Road Rash on the Mega Drive, I think it was. It was pretty much just straight roads on it, that I think, but this is a bit more detailed. Be nice to see it come back today. I think they could do a lot with it today. No Limits World. Don't know what that is. Outdoors stuff. Playtest. Haven't even got to the review of Resident Evil. I don't know if this was just a preview of Resident Evil or an actual review. Oh, here it is. I think they've got their hands on it at this point. Can one of the greatest ever PlayStation adventures possibly be bettered? How about making it twice the size and ramping up the gore count? That should do it. I can't remember how I got my hands on this. I think they actually just sold it to me in the shop. Because my dad wasn't much of a dad at the time and wouldn't do anything to help me. So I think I just saved the money and went out and bought it. And they served me in the shop. The atmosphere of this game still stands up today. I prefer the music of this game compared to the remake, but if they could combine the music with the remake, I think it would be better. The atmosphere is on par with that created. The atmosphere is on a par with that created in the best horror movies. Skillful camera angles enforce feelings of claustrophobia. Yeah, I remember on my CRTV in my room, perched on my bed, playing these Resident Evil 1 and 2. Amazing memories. This was my escapism. Things were a bit rough sometimes, and I just escape into this world. But it didn't incite any violence in me or anything like that. It's just just have to be sensible of these sort of things. Really hard game though. I mean, I think kids are spoiled with games now. I mean, Dark Souls, yeah, that's the equivalent now, I think, of how difficult. You get like 5 bullets. So I'm not sure if they have got their hands on it here or not. I think this was probably went to press way before they had their hands on it, so I think they've got screenshots and they're trying to make out they've played it, but it doesn't. I think they're reading from a script then. It's funny seeing that. I'm guessing this is the advert. There's Death Trap Dungeon again. This is the Platinum reviews for the new releases on Platinum at the time. That's Micro Machines. Die Hard Trilogy. Excellent game. If you haven't played it, pick it up. It's amazing. Soviet Strike. How many Strike games were there? I seem to have missed out on that. NBA Pro. Yeah, this is like they've got their hands on it at this point, like, because back there was the Evil. I don't think they had, because they haven't reviewed it, but here it's like the review section. And 7 out of 10 for NBA Pro. Rascal, never heard of it. Wasn't that good? 5 out of 10. Alundra. That's something I'd like to play now. I wasn't familiar with it at the time, but obviously it was a RPG worth playing. Probably costs about £300 now. Theme Hospital class game, 8 out of 10. This, I used to study these because obviously there's no internet. So you'd be like studying all the prices in these mail order services for the games and the consoles. You could buy bundles and all the third-party accessories. So I think I got my PlayStation in 97. This is like 98. PlayStation, Sony memory card and extra pad. 1 to 199. I paid a lot more. I bought mine from Toys R Us, I think. With just one game. It's been reduced at this point, I think. Poi Poi? Never heard of it. Free game when you subscribe to the official PlayStation magazine. Don't remember that. I wish I'd subscribed for a free game like that. Loved Rage Racer. It's hard to come by now, I think, Rage Racer. Not that many copies on eBay. I love the European covers of the Resident Evil games on the PS1. And don't really like the US versions, but I do like that. Yeah, Rage Racer is one of my favourites on that console. Porsche Challenge. I've got that on the PS2, like the compilation, I think, Street Fighter. X-Men, Children of the Atom. I think that was a really expensive game now. 7 out of 10. What's this? Fade to Black. This is the game that I got with my PS1 when I bought it brand new. I'm guessing when you completed each level, you got a password, and I must have played it to level 13. Well, that was the end of the game, and wish I'd kept that game as the original. Still got my original PlayStation down there. And back issues. Yeah, I've got other copies which I'll do videos on, but I think I've got that. More mail order. Newman Haas Racing. Never heard of it. I didn't want to look through it ahead of time. I wanted to discover it again with you on video. Some of these games I've never heard of. I'm sure you haven't heard of them either. Yeah, this is that spin-off thing. Essential PlayStation. Part 7. From the makers of PlayStation Magazine. Yeah, it's a spin-off. I'd never bought that. I don't think I ever saw it. Redline Car Magazine. Nagano Winter Olympics. Bust a Move. I'm all into these sort of games now. I'd like to go back and play that. Isnagaud? Never heard of it. 2 out of 10. That'll be why. Play now. PlayStation, 2 pads, 1 memory card, now 119, 120. It must have been seriously discounted, because I remember paying a lot more for my PlayStation. Cool Borders 2, class game. That's the cheats screen. Cheat codes. Game Station. I wonder if that's the one that became Game Station on the high street. And then Game bought them and closed them down. And she looks like she's having fun. Steady around the corner. PlayStation Power. There were so many variants of magazines. I've got a couple up in storage. I'm not sure of PlayStation Power. There's loads of those. PSM. Yeah, I need to dig out my demo discs and see how they play. If they were different builds to the retail versions or not. Resident Evil 2 on the disc. Gex on the disc. Rascal on the disc. Dynasty Warriors, Terra Incognita, Adam I, the young video games pundit of the BBC's Live and Kicking Saturday morning TV show. I watched Live and Kicking, I don't remember him. More mail order. That's right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be doing more videos just to archive these magazines before they go back into storage. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon.